So I think it's pretty well documented that the Milwaukee Bucks had a pretty bad start to the year. I mean, I don't know who tried to cook by making Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham their head coach and assistant coach, but whoever did that needs to not be allowed within 100 meters of a school zone. But in saying that, there is a lot of interesting things going on with the Bucks right now because they are making a comeback, and I believe at the time of making this video are not only in the play-in, but they're getting Chris Middleton back from injury as well. But, bro, I don't know if any of you guys heard that. My dog is literally having like a cardiac arrest on the ground. Are you okay? But this has not stopped a lot of news and reports saying that Giannis could eventually request a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks, or they could eventually trade him. Now, look, in my opinion, I have said this on the channel before, I don't think Giannis is going anywhere. But look, these videos get me views, they help me feed myself and feed my family, so I'm going to talk about this anyway, because there is a report going around right now that says that teams are monitoring the Houston Rockets as a potential destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he were to ask for a trade, per Mark Stein. Again, Mark Stein being one of the lead reporters in the NBA, kind of touching on this. Now, I do actually think Giannis would be the perfect player, low-key, for the Houston Rockets to go after. I think if they were to go after someone, not only do they need to be looking at probably a forward, but it needs to be someone that I think can make up for Alperen Şengün's lack of defense that he does provide sometime. And maybe that would be getting a really good two-way power forward that also does happen to be an MVP and a championship player in Giannis. Now, I think the Milwaukee Bucks would be stupid to trade Giannis. I think there is a lot more things they need to do before they move on from Giannis. First of all, why is Doc Rivers their head coach? That was the dumbest hire of all time. I know he's got like 2 years left after this season, but I would move on from Doc Rivers. I would move on from Darvin Ham. I would realistically just completely change up the whole entire coaching squad and get a whole new thing going on. I would also change the core players and role players and whatnot around Giannis. I think this Bucks team needs a massive shift. I would, of course, keep Dame, and I would, probably keep Bobby Portis. So I would keep those two guys and, maybe a couple other role players here and there. But players like Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, it might be time to move on from those guys and just clear up salary cap. And maybe the best situation is to trade Middleton to a team where you can just clear up his cap, trade Brook Lopez to a team where you can clear up his cap, get expiring bad contracts back in return, and just go out in free agency and sign a bunch of really good role players, like not necessarily this guy, but a guy like him, a KCP, and a player like that. And as mentioned in the previous video, they don't have to be fancy. Like a guy like Dean Wade, who no one really talks about, but is one of the best defenders on the Cavaliers, has great three-point shooting numbers, can guard the 1 through 4, and is a really effective player. Just guys like that to bring into this Milwaukee Bucks team. I don't think it's hard or overly complicated at all to fix what is going on there. But again, if you are Giannis and you don't think this Bucks team is going to fix it, and maybe you are looking for a new change of scenery, then I think, yes, the Houston Rockets would be perfect. Now, what would they be able to trade up to make this happen? Now, I believe Giannis is on about $50 million per season. So I suggest, what if the Houston Rockets traded away Dillon Brooks, who is on $21 million next season, Jabari Smith Jr., who is on $9 million, of course, next season, and maybe another young player like, maybe even just a center like a Jock Landale or something like that, right? And then they, of course, traded away like 4 first-round picks on top and a couple of pick swaps. Again, that could probably get it done. The Bucks would look at that because they bring in a top 5 pick in, a Jabari Smith. They're also bringing in 4 to 6 first-round picks, good role players in Jock Landale and Dillon Brooks. Again, they may ask for a little bit more, like a Cam Whitmore or a Tari Eason, which I'm sure they will ask for. And look, I think the, Houston Rockets would part ways with a guy like that. But then it starts to look really interesting. Like, you're looking at that Rockets team, and you're looking at quite possibly a starting five that could be Fred VanVleet at the 1, I think, Jalen Green at the 2, Amen Thompson maybe at the 3, Giannis at the 4, and Alperen Şengün at the 5. And then off the bench, you could have, Reed Shepherd, Steven Adams if they bring him back, Jeff Green, of course, one of Cam Whitmore, and potentially Tari Eason, whoever they don't get rid of, and whoever maybe they sign in free agency or whatnot. Again, that team is a really deep one with a lot of star power. You expect a Şengün or a Green to be like that all-star type caliber, not only this season, but next season. And yeah, that starting five, man, there's really nothing it can't do. I mean, there's a lot of defense in your forwards there, like Thompson and Giannis would be crazy. All the offense in the world in that lineup. And again, if you're the Bucks, I mean, Jabari Smith could become an all-star for you one day. The 4 to 6 first-round picks obviously go a long way too, and you bring in some really solid role players and another young player like a Cam Whitmore or someone like that. So I think this trade overall is really good. I don't think it should happen because I do believe that the Houston Rockets are not too far off, doing something special themselves, but I also feel like that could be their next step in their evolution, is getting a guy like Giannis. But I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks, they'd be stupid to trade away like their greatest player of all time, who has a good partner in Dame right now, and you could literally fix this thing so easy if you really wanted to. I mean, again, I don't think it would be that hard at all. But of course, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you guys think a trade like this should potentially happen? Should Giannis go to the Houston Rockets or another team? Should the Houston Rockets look to trade for Giannis? Of course, I'd really like to know. Subscribe to my gaming channels, my IRL/vlogging channel, and my sports channel, which is this one. All the rest will be linked down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.